Rural America is struggling. That's a common perception nowadays. Rural areas and rural states in general are hemorrhaging population to more urban areas where there are better paying jobs, more active cultural and social scenes, and services of all kinds more readily available. Here in Vermont, the same pattern is replicating itself, where the Chittenden County area, centered around Burlington, is doing well economically and gaining population, while the rest of the state is either losing population or at best treading water. Over in Springfield, Vermont, Matt Dunne, who many will remember as a former state senator who made two ultimately unsuccessful bids for the Democratic nomination for governor, has been spearheading an effort to bring a revival not only to the manufacturing town that used to be one of Vermont's wealthiest communities, but to other rural areas as well, here in Vermont and elsewhere. The Center on Rural Innovation is focused on building sustainable economic growth in rural communities and has partnered with the Springfield Regional Development Corporation to advance Springfield's transformation to a digital economy with the launch of the Black River Innovation Campus, or BRIC. BRIC's aim is to educate and train people in skills that lead to digital economy jobs, and maybe their own startup companies eventually. The campus is located in the building formerly occupied by the Springfield High School, and that's where we met up with Matt to talk about the challenges facing rural communities in an extended interview. The conversation started with a discussion on why rural areas seem to be losing ground and population to those metropolitan areas.
So this has been a phenomenon that's really taken place since the Great Recession of 2008. Previous to that, urban and rural areas actually tracked each other economically over periods of time with obvious blips here and there. But after the recession, when everyone came crashing down, urban areas came roaring right back and rural actually stayed at the bottom of that trough. And the major drivers fit into two categories. One is the automation of traditional rural industries, whether it was forestry or farming or low-cost manufacturing. And the other was the decline in entrepreneurship in rural places that was much more pronounced than in urban areas. And as we all know, the entrepreneurs of today are the employers of tomorrow. So the end result was just a completely different economic reality. And so we've seen this across the country. We've seen that even in the state of Vermont, where our one city has been doing incredibly well since the recession, but a lot of the rest of the state has been struggling on a variety of different levels. You add into that the opioid epidemic, which was a uniquely rural phenomenon, and you've got a pretty tough set of circumstances.
We then asked why some rural communities nevertheless found ways to overcome local difficulties and chart a course forward, while others seem to go on struggling.
We've been looking at communities across the country that have been both successful or at least are starting to chart their way to creating economies for the future. And I wish I could claim that there was absolute consistency across the board, but we've struggled to actually find it. One piece that's been important is having an institution of higher education nearby, and ideally one that is a 4-year endowed college or a university campus. And so those have created some anchors to be able to be successful over a period of time, but as we all know, higher education is also going through a pretty dramatic transformation. We're looking for communities, though, that have both that connection to an institution of higher education, at least within a 40-mile drive time, but also ones that have been able to go ahead and build super high-speed internet. And the good news is that there are growing models for that in rural places. There's now 10 million rural people with access to fiber to the home. And places like Springfield went ahead and did that with a local telephone company that received some federal funding and just built it out. You also have EC Fiber that's doing it in a cooperative model, and then municipal electric companies that are doing it across the country. The same entities that brought electricity when the market wouldn't bring electricity to locations are now using that same infrastructure to bring high-speed internet. And we feel that those are the places that will have a better chance than most to be able to be successful. But then what you see is a lot of cases where unofficial leadership just steps up and starts doing things in a collaborative way, starts looking to the future, not trying to own what was or should have been or could have been or anything else. and starts doing things that create the environment for a vibrant community and the kind of place where people working in technology and other high value-added jobs want to be. And having spent most of my career doing redevelopment and placemaking in White River Junction, Vermont, we saw that take place over a period of time. And today, if you go into downtown White River, there are there's 8 restaurants all within walking distance. There are loft apartments that young people are vying to be able to get into, and tech companies of a variety of different types that are growing up there, along with a vibrant arts community. And there are some people who make the case, oh, you need the arts in order to get the tech and the younger people. Absolutely true, but also the other way around. So you need to be doing those pieces of the ecosystem simultaneously. And we've seen the results of that in White River.
We'll be hearing more from Matt Dunne and others on this topic in the weeks ahead. Navigating a pathway to making more rural areas prosperous has large implications both politically and economically, as well as culturally, and it's a topic we'll be returning to. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.